What's up, guys, and welcome to my review for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This is a non-spoiler movie review, and look, this franchise has been on thin ice. A lot of its theatrical life. And here we have The Rise of the Beasts. Now, this is a loose sequel to the Bumblebee film, which came out a couple years ago. So now that was in the 80s. Now we're in the 1990s, 1994. The movie takes place, and we are introduced to the primals. This is the sort of animal Autobots, if you will. You got the cheetah, you got the hawk, you got the gorilla, you got all sorts of things coming around, and they're sort of doing what they have to do. Their home world has been destroyed, so they're sort of harboring out on Earth. And the Autobots, look, they have been through the war on Cybertron, and now they're on Earth, and they're trying to get back home. And once they get an opportunity that they see that they could go back home, they want to do it. Look, this movie, I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I'm kind of very lukewarm on the Transformers films. Like I said, the first film, if I'm going to briefly sum it up for you, don't really care for it. I probably would give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. That's the first movie, the 2007 movie. All the government stuff just sort of bogs the whole thing down for me, with some of the messiness, the humor not working, and just the first half being kind of slow. Didn't necessarily care for that. A lot of the side characters, not really a big fan of in that movie. Then Revenge of the Fallen is that the first half is easier to watch, but at the same time, the second half is harder to watch because once you get to Egypt in that film, it almost feels like a totally different movie. And the script and the messiness, the sloppiness, that's just not a great film. And that's probably, if the first one's a 2.5, Revenge of the Fallen is probably like a 2 out of 5 for me. It's still watchable. Dark of the Moon, I think, has the great balance of the human stuff with the Autobot stuff. Sentinel Prime, actually really enjoy that character and his sort of back and forth with Optimus Prime, the Megatron stuff in that film. It all sort of worked for me. Is it a little messy at points with some of the exposition? Sure. But when you finally say, okay, the last hour of this film is the Battle of Chicago, guess what? That's one of my favorite final hours in any film. The action, the score, all great stuff. And I think Shia LaBeouf's actually not bad in the movie either. Age of Extinction, it's, they almost took the Transformers series and they made it extinct. You're introducing the human characters again. You're introducing Mark Wahlberg, his daughter. You're introducing all this stuff. You're introducing more stuff with the Autobots. What's happened since the Battle of Chicago? And it's all very uninteresting. The Mark Wahlberg character is so down on his luck, and they play it. I mean, God Almighty! We just recently rewatched these movies, so I'm pretty fresh on them. The first 45 minutes of that movie is probably the best part for me. After that, it totally derails. The last whatever 3 hours of the movie. The movie's like 10 hours long. It's kind of hard to get through. When you finally do get to the Dinobots at the end of the film, I mean, it's almost just like an afterthought. So this just everything about that movie was almost a total failure and terrible. Not a fan of it. And that's like a 1 out of 5 movie. Then I go to Transformers: The Last Knight, which is the 5th one. Guess what? It's like a 1.5 out of 5-star movie. Is it more watchable than the 4th one? Yes, it is. But that final battle, God, is it forgettable. Half the movie is forgettable. Josh Duhamel's in the movie. You forget he's in it because he's got nothing to do. Mark Wahlberg's daughter's in college. He's kind of a loner, and there's whatever's going on with the Merlin stuff. All of it is just like you don't give a rat's ass about any of it, and they try to force this romance upon you with the Mark Wahlberg and the professor of the sciences. Whatever she is, she works in a museum, whatever she's doing, and you just don't care about it. And some of the effects aren't great. The movie's boring, it's bland, and it's just forgettable, and it's not a good film. It's a pretty bad film. It's a 1.5 out of 5. Bumblebee for me, they started to take it in a better direction. But the thing about Bumblebee for me, after rewatching it, it feels like a Nickelodeon film. Bumblebee is a little too cartoony for me, and it's a little too goofy for me. Do I like it? Does it have elements of E.T., whatever? Sure, but that film did it better. Bumblebee, not a great movie. Not a bad film, but I don't necessarily love it either. And that's like a 3.5 out of 5 star film for me. Now you got The Rise of the Beasts, which, look, I think this is like pure summer fun, pure summer popcorn fun. If you want to go into this, turn your brain off, and just have a fun time for 2 hours, this is the movie to do so. All the Transformer stuff really worked for me. The effects I thought were really good, except for the third act. There's some things that happen in the third act and some visual effects that happen in the third act that I didn't really like some of the choices made, or some of the character stuff went with some of the people. I don't want to get into it spoiler wise, but it's kind of just like, oh, now we're in like a Power Rangers movie almost, and I kind of took me out of it. Didn't really care for that. But then there was just a couple other things. I mean, there's a lot of, it's a visual effects overload in the third act of the film, and overall it does work, but there's just some things that you see and you go, I don't know how I feel about that. The human stuff in this movie is not as bad as it has been in previous Transformers movies. The Haley Seinfeld thing and Bumblebee, fine. They had a totally different tone in that one. It feels kind of disconnected, because this feels like more in the vein of the Michael Bay films, but one of the better ones. Like Transformers Dark of the Moon, where it's kind of better balance. You actually have a decent amount of Autobot stuff in this. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, all the Autobots. The human stuff, I think Anthony Ramos, is he good in the movie? Yes. But, is he doing anything special? No. His story, the first like 20 minutes of the movie is kind of slow. You're sitting there, you're going, okay, now we got to set up all this human stuff, this human drama that, might resolve itself by the end of the movie, might not resolve itself, but that's not why you're here. But when you go to buy a ticket to a Transformers film, now you have to expect you're going to get at least 20 minutes of human drama that's going to be set up before they run into the Autobots. And it's like that in every single Transformers movie and Bumblebee film. He has a friend, which is, the actress is something Fish. Her last name is something with Fish. That character I felt like could have been totally written out of the movie. She didn't feel like she belonged. She felt like, every time she was there, she kind of annoyed me the first half of the movie. Every time she'd be in a troubling situation, she'd be like, when she'd be like running away. Just listen to her, especially the first action scene she's in. As she's running away, she's making some weird noises that I just wasn't a fan of. Didn't like that performance very much. I just thought the character was kind of intrusive to the film and just didn't belong in the movie, and you could have rewrote it. Anthony Ramos has a brother in the film who could have taken the place of this Fish character. So that's where I'm at with that. The score of the soundtrack is pretty good. I like the score, like the soundtrack, and guess what? I don't think it's a spoiler to say that, if you love the theme from the original Transformers movie, the Steve Jablonsky wrote the Arrival to Earth piece, if you like that, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this movie, So just hold your horses, wait, listen, and I think you're going to be kind of happy by the time it ends. But look, end of the day, this is pure summer fun. Is this like a deep film? No. Is this like one of the best action movies ever made? No, I don't think. I mean, does it have heart? Yes, but it's cliched heart. There's nothing new. There's nothing really original about this. It's just pure summer fun with, some pretty good Transformers stuff. If you are a fan of the Transformers and you go to see this movie, I can't see anybody disliking it. Are there problems? Sure, but I can't say this is a bad film. Did I love it? No, but I actually really enjoyed myself watching it, and it's a 3.5 out of 5 star movie. Did get the chance to watch it in 3D, which I thought the 3D, at some points was pretty good, actually. It has a nice dimension to it. Sometimes didn't feel like I was watching it in 3D, but other times it's like, oh, 3D is not too bad. So that's where I'm at with that. And so that's my thoughts on Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Comment down below. This is the 7th live-action Transformers movie. So how would you rank them? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? How do you feel about this film? Leave that down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check out future episodes of The King's Corner and plus previous episodes of The King's Corner, where we review all the biggest movies, all the new releases, some later than others nowadays, but we still do the reviews. We talk about Fast X, Little Mermaid, all sorts of stuff. We've got Indiana Jones coming up. Very excited about that. And look, physical media roundup for the week. Some of the new releases to 4K Blu-ray and Blu-ray this past Tuesday I was able to pick up. Look, this one, the Super Mario Brothers movie. When does it come out? Does it come out this past Tuesday or does it come out this coming Tuesday? Who knows? Best Buy says it's not coming out till next week, but Walmart said, oh, you know what? We're going to put it out. Pretty sure Target put it out too. I was able to get this from Walmart. Beautiful looking 4K. Pure fun, pure animation fun. It's one of the better animated films I've seen in a while. So I do recommend it. Super Mario Bros. Movie. Peaches, 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 peaches. Let's have some peaches. Next up, this is the first film that I've seen in a drive-in theater in about 15 years. I haven't been there in a very long time, and we returned to the drive-in theater, and I did a review. It's up on the King's Corner episode a couple, maybe a month or two back, whatever the case may be. It's Renfield. And this is Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult. This is a film that, I think is pretty fun. It's not a great film, but it's not a bad film either. Is it kind of forgettable? Maybe at some points, but Nicolas Cage certainly isn't forgettable. And I loved his performance as Dracula in this movie. It's just a Blu-ray, no 4K for this one. But would I recommend it? Yes, I would. So that's Renfield. And the final copy we have here is Lord of War. This is a 4K steelbook from Lionsgate. Pretty nice. This movie came out in 2005, I believe. Nicolas Cage. Very underrated. I think it's a very good film that Lionsgate decided to release on a 4K steelbook. So, look, we got a 4K coming for The Wicker Man, which is like a UK 4K coming out. Now, I know that this is region free, but let's hope we get that US release of The Wicker Man. Hopefully, Lionsgate or somebody will put that out on 4K in the US and give us that steelbook, beautiful steelbook. But hey, maybe not. Even so, we've got a nice steelbook coming, which is a UK steelbook for The Wicker Man 1973. If you don't know what that film is, it casts a spell. Check it out. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So that's for that. And guess what? Nicolas Cage also starred in the remake of The Wicker Man that came out in 2006, I believe. Don't watch that film. It's not a very good film.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
But the original film is where it's at. Edward Woodward, Christopher Lee. It's a great movie. So that's where we're at with that, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The King's Corner for my review of Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And until next time, over and out.